CCR diving allows you to extend your range and brings a whole new wide variety of possibilities. One of the major benefits of diving CCR is your reduced gas consumption. And by the way, this is really heavy. This means longer dives than on open circuit. Longer dives, however, though, mean that you still need to carry some open circuit with you. We call it bailout. So the bailout is an open circuit cylinder or multiple cylinders that you need to carry with yourself to have enough gas in case of a catastrophic failure of your unit to be able to safely return back to the surface. As you will start progressing with your diving and your dives are going to become longer and longer, you're going to need to start carrying more and more bailout gas with yourself. And you will soon realize that the amount of bailout gas that you can carry with yourself is actually a limiting factor. So this is what the load for a dive can look like. And as you can see, there's a fair amount of weight in there. And if you were carrying this weight with you, you're gonna need a scooter and you're gonna need a fair bit of strength to propel yourself through the water. So one solution to this is to start using a Bailout Rebreather. So instead of all of this, you'd now only need this. And that would be for the vast majority of your dives. And that's what we're going to be talking about because Liberty is completely ready for it. So welcome to the 11th episode of Liberty in Detail, where we're going to be talking about Bailout Rebreathers and a Bailout CCR mode. So let's dive into it. If you watched our previous episodes, you know that the Liberty's head is same for all the configurations. So this means that you can use your Liberty unit regardless of your configuration as a Bailout Rebreather. The configuration varies based on your preference, but it would either be you use your back-mounted unit as a primary unit and a side-mount unit as your bailout, or you can use two side-mount units as a primary and secondary. Either way, if you run your rebreather as a Bailout Rebreather or one of them, you need to define one of your rebreathers as primary and the other one as a secondary Bailout Rebreather. You'd most commonly see the side mount unit being used as a Bailout Rebreather. The reason for that is that its size is actually not much bigger than a standard aluminium 80 cubic feet cylinder. So you have also all gas on board, so there is no need to offboard gas. The unit is neutrally buoyant in the water and has excellent work of breathing. So you don't need any hoses, run any hoses from your additional cylinders to offboard gas. Everything is in a nice compact package. All you need to get your unit on, to strap it on, is just two bolt snaps, and you treat it as a standard bailout cylinder. You just clip the unit straight on. So that is exactly what you would want from a Bailout Rebreather. So now I'm just quickly going to show you the actual size comparison to a standard 80 cubic feet cylinder. So this is the side mount unit, and over here I've got a set up bailout cylinder. If you actually compare them in size, this one is probably about this much bigger. So there's not that much of a difference considering the rebreather is neutrally buoyant in the water. It's very comfortable wearing it. The open circuit gas source would usually contain your bottom mix gas or a mix that would be breathable in most dive profiles. The reason why we need to carry an open circuit with us is to transition from our primary unit to our bailout unit or for immediate emergencies. The reason could be, for example, catastrophic flooding of the unit or a CO2 issue. And for this reason, we want to go first onto open circuit before getting onto another closed circuit. For those cases, you need to have your regulator easy to access or to use your BOV to bail out. Now, when it comes to Liberty units, we have developed a special mode for this purpose called Bailout Standby mode. This mode needs to be turned on as it's turned off by default when you get your unit as brand new. Once you turn it on, the unit does following. During the dive, the unit would be running in a Bailout Standby mode, being ready to be used. The unit would not be adding any oxygen through its solenoids, so this way it would not change the buoyancy characteristics of the unit and waste your oxygen. The scrubber stack time is on hold, and when the diver starts breathing from the unit needs to be switched into CCR mode. When the unit is switched into CCR mode, the unit will start adding oxygen and operate in a standard CCR mode, calculates the stack time and just operate as per normal in a standard CCR mode. If the unit is not switched into CCR mode and is left into Bailout Standby mode and the diver starts breathing from the unit, if the PPO2 within the loop drops by 20% of what the PPO2 of the diluent at the depth should be, the unit will automatically switch itself into CCR mode and carries on operating as normal in CCR mode. The units also provide you with the ability to preset what gas mixture is in your primary unit and what is in your bailout unit. So therefore it allows you to track your decompression on your bailout unit a lot closer, so it's more accurate when you're bailing out onto your Bailout Rebreather. It already knows what decompression obligation you have. The decompression is calculated from a fixed set point, and that means that for correct decompression calculation, the diver needs to change the set point on both the units simultaneously. And now we're going to have a look at what the actually Bailout Standby screen looks like. So this is our Bailout Standby mode screen. As you can see here, we've got all the crucial information that we need to know just to have a look at how our Bailout Rebreather is doing. Over here we can see our dive time, our depth, this is our mode, this is our set point, and this is our current loop PPO2. Here's our TTS, the status of our batteries, and this is our onboard diluent that we carry in our current unit, on our bailout unit, and this is our second unit diluent. Right now we have it all in default, so we have them preset as air. So all the modes that you have in your standard CCR mode are accessible in a bailout mode as well. Right now we have our main detailed screen, and we also have our oxygen sensor screen. So we have these two immediately available. If we want to get into our dive menu, you can see that the first mode that is the easiest to click on is the dive mode CCR. So if you are bailing out onto this unit, you go straight into the menu and you can see that the first mode is switching into CCR mode on the unit. But as I mentioned earlier, you can see that when you go through the menu, your options are the same, and you have your whole range of abilities to change anything you want within the unit's menu. So that's it when it comes to our dive menu. It's pretty straightforward. The next thing that we're going to have a look at is our ADV. So the ADV needs to stay on, because if it was accidentally turned off, it could result in under pressure in our system and subsequently in potential flooding of the rebreather. So the ADV always needs to stay on. The Liberty side mount unit is supplied with without the shutoff. The shutoff is only optional as long as the diver is aware of its function and what it can cause to a bailout rebreather. The overpressure or under pressure in a bailout unit could cause quite a serious issue to the diver. Therefore, it's very important to check the unit before getting onto the loop. Here is another reason why we need to carry an open circuit source of gas to transition onto it before we go on our bailout unit. In our episode 3 and 10, we learned about the benefits of having our pressure sensors inside of the unit's head. Well, right here, we can actually, in this case, see the other benefit of having the pressure sensors inside here. And those benefits are that when we run the unit as a bailout rebreather, we can actually see its depth, and if the depth would be shown different to our primary unit that we're on and that we're breathing from, we can get a suspicion that there could be something happening with the loop, which could be either overpressure or under pressure. So this way we can also be more vigilant about what is happening with our loop. As you know, every Liberty unit comes with 2 handsets. So what the usually common practice would be, you would be running your primary unit using both the handsets, and for your Bailout Rebreather you would usually just use one handset and you would plug up the other connector for your other handset using our blind plug. But again, this comes to your personal preference, and you can run your handsets whichever way you like. Preparing your bailout unit for a dive is same as preparing your primary unit for a dive. This applies to your assembly, that applies to your sorbent management, that applies to your oxygen cell calibration, and applies to your all other checks. The unit basically needs to be treated exactly the same way like your primary unit. The pre-dive on the unit is usually done in CCR mode, and then the unit is switched into Bailout Standby mode, and the dive is carried on with the unit in Bailout Standby mode. When you descend on the unit needs to be regularly checked just to make sure everything runs properly. There is no under pressure on the descent on the unit, and the checks on the unit should be performed regularly throughout the dive as well. Same thing applies to ascent, where you need to check the unit for overpressure issues as well. Diving with the backup rebreather is tremendously beneficial in terms of a gas management of your bailout, but it makes carrying your equipment twice as difficult and requires special procedures during the dive. It's always necessary to carry an open circuit gas supply for immediate supply if necessary. So to use a backup rebreather, we recommend a sufficient experience and attending a course with a qualified CCR Liberty side mount instructor. We've also attached a link into the description of this video with an article and additional information about Bailout Rebreather diving written by our factory instructor trainer Jakub Szymanek, which we hope you'll also find useful if this is the topic that you're interested in. And at the same time, that's it for our today's episode. I hope that you found it interesting and it provided you information that you were looking for. And if you would like to try one of Liberty units, please contact one of our instructors and organize a demo dive with them. For more information, visit our webpage at divesoft.com or email us at info@divesoft.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in our next episode.